Boy, can I help you?
Listen up. I'm bringing you the best content to ever exist in the door-to-door industry, from sales, leadership, recruiting, and personal development.
Why would I need that?
Because never before have we been able to collaborate with the top experts in their industries, sharing their secrets and techniques and what makes them the best.
Wait, who are you?
I'm your host, Sam Taggart, creator of the DDD Experts and DDD Con. Is there a place we can sit down?
Well, come on in.
What's up? Okay, we're live, we're on, we're good. This is Tanner Leathem. I'm Sam Taggart with the DDD Podcast, and we're about to jump into a sweet episode. So if you're on this, like this, if you know Tanner, give him big love, give him big heart, show him some love. So basically, I'll tell you a little bit about Tanner, and then we'll dive into his background. And today, this is kind of a unique opportunity. We're actually sitting across the street from, who lives in that house right there?
It's the governor's mansion.
Only the government, only the governor, and we're actually sitting in their office right now. Tanner is the CEO of Gather, and we'll go into kind of what that is, but it's a unique door-to-door company, and a lot of people, I didn't even know this was a thing, but he's taken a company from not even an industry, like it wasn't even a thing, and he turned it into, how many reps do you have now?
We have 900-ish.
900-ish, depending on the day, right? Like anybody would say. So 900 people he's been able to recruit. We're going to dive into how he's built kind of this massive empire over the last, 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years, a little over 2 years, 2.5.
Which takes some serious skill. And they collect signatures for people like the governor and people in political campaigns trying to pass things. We'll dive into a little bit what that means. And super excited to have you on the show, man. This will be
glad we finally got to hang out.
I know, and weird connection. His aunt is my aunt-in-law.
Yeah. So my cousins.
Oh yeah. How do you?
Your wife is my cousin's cousin.
So we're like family reunion on the show right now. We never met each other, but we knew we were somehow related. So tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into door-to-door, and then what kind of led you to today.
Yeah. I did, I think, 4.5 or 5 summers of alarms with my older brother for different Monty dealers, Pinnacle. We worked with a lot of different companies. We did a couple of years of solar recruiting. And more or less, I've always enjoyed talking to people and recruiting. And we had an opportunity through a friend to help out on the Mitt Romney for President campaign in 2012. And so I took this job. I was basically a glorified, monkey boy. I got paid $50 a day, and my job was to buy Vince groceries or to make sure hotel rooms were, reserved for the staff, pick them up from the airport, put up signs and billboards, set up Paul Ryan's P90X so he could do his workouts, stuff like that. And I just come from, running my team in California selling alarms, and a buddy of mine was just like, hey, come do this for a few months. So I went out there and did that, and an opportunity came up to take people from Utah and help out in Ohio. It's one of the bigger swing states in elections, right? Ohio's a really key and important state. We took about 35 or 40 door-to-door guys, and we were able to get more done in this specific county in Ohio that was really important to the presidential race in 2012. In one day than had been done in that county in 5 years. And I was like, oh, light bulb, we need to use door-to-door guys to help in different political efforts because, the people from Utah are unmatched in talent and, their ability to talk to people door-to-door. And so it went from 0 to 100 miles an hour, really quickly as some laws changed in Utah that allowed us to work for people like the governor or Mike Lee. We've worked for I think 3 different presidential candidates, over the last couple of years, helping them with campaigns and getting ballot initiatives and signatures for, county initiatives and statewide issues. And so it's been a wild ride, but we were able to take all the skills we learned from alarms and solar and apply those to, growing our company to have over 900 reps work with us over the last 4 months.
That's crazy. So there's like 7 different questions that just popped into my head. And I'm like, a lot of you guys are probably sitting here going, well, what's it like to be with Mitt Romney and feed him breakfast? You know what I mean? I'm sure
he likes crunchy peanut butter, Diet Coke with lime, peanut butter M&Ms. Those were like my staple purchases.
Solid. So I actually have a ton of questions, but I'm going to kind of rewind a little bit back to what was it like going from crushing it in summer sales, running an alarm team, making probably great money, to like what was the catalyst to say I'm going to go work for $50 a day? Was it more so just kind of like I believe in the cause, or like I mean there had to have been some kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean it was probably half that I really believed in his cause, and the other half is that I was still young. I wasn't married yet. I had the time to not go to school, and so I took off that fall semester that everyone usually returns to after selling alarms, and it was just the time of my life that lined up really really well to allow me to just say, okay, I'm going to let go of everything else, and $50 a day or whatever, I get to travel the country and I get to meet a lot of interesting people. And so really it was just timing. I would say, it obviously wasn't the money, because $50 a day sucks. And it was really just, I was at a point in my life that I could leave. I didn't, I hadn't bought a house yet. I was still living with my parents. I was 3 years. That was my third year selling alarms. Maybe it was my fourth. I can't remember. But yeah, it was just the timing that really led me to be okay with just dropping. I was making a lot more money doing alarms, and we had a big team that summer. But it all started, at the end of August is when I took off and just was flying around and buying groceries and booking hotel rooms.
That's awesome.
Doing laundry.
And now you're running a multi-million-dollar company, and it's fun to see probably the journey of like thinking back to like, man, I was running M&M's. Now I got people like him banging on my door saying, "Can I hire you?" Right?
Yeah, no, it's been really interesting, but the people that I met through that experience have really helped me, know how to network in the political industry, because that's the hardest part about all of this.
That's what I was going to say. That was my next question. Like, how important it is for you to know and network, and what is the value of your network now to you? And you started as the flyer, the peon.
Yeah.
But like, just having those relationships, how has that benefited you along the journey?
That's in politics. Really, the people is everything. A lot of people have thought like, oh, I wanted to start a signature gathering company, and I really didn't understand how politics worked, and so I had to really educate myself. I probably cold called for 6 months prior to Gather really starting. I quit. I had a really sweet job that I quit, and I had to just make cold calls, and a lot of people thought I was crazy because I had a great job, and I went from making good money to just saying, hey, I'm going to try this political thing out. And so my network, all these big jobs that we do, they've come through just the most random people that I met, a year or 3 or 4 years ago, where someone I cold calls, friend's brother calls me because they know that we can mobilize a team and go out and help them in, Indiana or Minnesota or, every swing state we've done work in. And so really the networks that I made and the friends really just taught me how politics work, because it's a completely different industry. I wasn't aware of how the whole industry worked, and so it's changed my perspective on networking and the value of making a tiny phone call to someone. Even if there's a 1% chance that they're going to hire your company, it's amazing that phone call a year later, their brother's calling you asking you to help them with the campaign in Florida. So
powerful.
Yeah.
So when you talk about a swing state or you're going to go in and blitz an area to kind of sway a vote, how much power does a door-to-door program like Gather have for a political party that's looking to change a vote or looking to pass a new law? Like, how does that work?
It's extremely powerful. Most of the campaigns are done with volunteers, and volunteers are pretty unreliable. And so, some campaigns have a lot of volunteers, some don't, and we basically mostly participated in helping people get elected, or we help groups but create laws so the state can vote on them. So right now in Utah, if you want to pass a law, you need 113,000 signatures.
That's a lot of signatures.
It's a ton of signatures. You need 10% of the people to sign that voted in the last presidential election. And so that doesn't pass the law, but what that does is if you want to pass a law that makes solar a more viable option in Utah, for example, we go get 113,000 signatures evenly distributed across the state. We turn them into the state, and I'll get a vote on that law in November. And so we're working on 3 ballot initiatives right now, and just because we got the signatures doesn't mean that these laws are going to pass. It just puts them on the ballot so people like me and you can vote on these. And so, it's a very fun issue to talk with people about, because it doesn't matter if they're for or against the issue. When people sign a petition, it basically just means that they're okay if the whole state gets to participate in the decision of should this law pass or not. And so the power that we've had as, a door-to-door company has been, insane. I have 10 candidates call me a day that need our help, because the political cycle starts from January and typically ends in April sometime.
Yeah.
So we have a short window to get, signatures for candidates, signatures for initiatives.
What are some of the coolest initiatives you've done that you've seen it like really make an impact?
So one of the ones we're working on right now is actually really popular in Utah. It's called the Utah Medical Cannabis Act. It will allow doctors to write a prescription for a couple different types of medical cannabis products. I think it's inhalers and some edible products for people with cancer, Alzheimer's. I think there's a whole list of qualifying illnesses. So that's an interesting one to talk with people about, because people are very,
pro or
against medical cannabis. We're doing another initiative for teachers and students. It will basically increase funds in Utah by $1,000 per student per school. And so a bigger school will get more money, a smaller school will get less money. And so basically, some people are really for increasing funding towards schools. Some people say we spend enough on taxes and we shouldn't need to do that. And so we get people from both sides of the argument saying, hey, I want to sign this so I can vote yes on it. I want to sign this so I can vote no on it. Some people are really against it and they don't want to sign it because they don't even want to have a chance for people to vote on it. And so, those are two pretty interesting issues that we're working on right now. Presidential candidates, when they run, they need signatures in every state, or in most states, to get on the ballot. So, I think it's Donald Trump, when he ran just to get on the ballot in Utah, I think he needed like 1,400 signatures to just get his name on the ballot so people could vote for him. So there's different laws and requirements for candidates and elections, and there's a lot of different things, moving parts and deadlines. And so it's been interesting to move from a summer sales industry to a political industry where the calendar year for us, or not the calendar year, but the time of year.
It's
for
4
us,
months, but it's
it's like dead of winter in Utah, and luckily it's been a mild snow year, so that's helped us out a lot. But we're out in the dark, and a lot of people, I don't know if you have reps in your offices that didn't want to work at night, or they call it quits. In the winter it is mostly night. I mean, it gets dark at 4:30. In the dead of winter, and so we have people that. We probably have about 200 people or so that work every day. A lot of the people that work with us have experience in door-to-door sales, or some of them just use this as a part-time job, and they make a ton of money and they help us out a lot. But they're working in the dark, and it just proves wrong some of the standards where when we were doing alarms, it was scary to knock at night because people get mad at you.
Yeah.
But my people are knocking at night, and it's been just fine. Or we knock in a foot of snow, or if it's raining, because these signatures have to get done. If these issues want to get passed, we have to work every single day. There's no day where you can just take a day off. So. And
that's crazy, because a lot of these people, you've made a commitment to them saying, I will get you 113,000 signatures, and it's almost like, come on guys, like we're only at 20,000, like let's go.
No, there's more pressure in this industry than I've ever felt in my life, because it's everything that you do has the chance of being national news, and so you're on the spotlight for the good and the bad, and so we have to really keep a tight watch on all the decisions we make, anything that we say or do. But it's been amazing, but it's been incredibly difficult too.
So how do you motivate? Like, I'm sure a lot of training goes into this and a lot of management, but how do you motivate a rep to knock in the dark where, there's that initial, wait, you want me to knock on somebody's door at 7 o'clock at night when it's pitch black? Like, how do you respond to that as leaders?
A hilarious way that, actually works really well is typically when you go sell alarms or solar, you have a polo, right? You have your hat on, usually you got a name badge. Our people, it's cold outside. They're bundled up, and we have these beanies. I wish I had one right now, but it has a huge puff ball. It's red, white, and blue beanie. People respond better at night when you kind of look like a dork. And so you don't want to look like a salesman. You don't want to look like you're peddling something. You just want to look like a volunteer. You want to look like who you are. but we got these bright colored beanies that make people look more friendly, you know. So some of us, you know, have a scuzz look on our face all the time, but you put one of these beanies on and you're instantly a friendly,
That's awesome.
jolly guy. And so that's helped a lot.
No, it's funny that you say that, because on the group, somebody recently commented and they said, you know, appearance, right? Like, would you knock with a beard or long hair or things like that? And I think the overlying principle is you just have to be somebody that somebody's confident talking to, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a scruffy, like, sketchy dude knocking on some door at night with your hood on,
Yeah.
like, I'm not opening the door.
Exactly.
So, like, it goes back to the simple principle. It's like, break down as many barriers as possible,
Yeah.
so that you can.
We have light up pens, even, you know, 'cause,
Really?
I mean, we're getting paper and pen signatures. The law doesn't allow for like electronic signatures, and so we have pens that light up. We had some guys that put those things on their shoes that light up at night, you know.
That's awesome.
And so people are actually really friendly to us, and our reps have a good time. I mean, we have funny stories all the time of, you know, anytime you're knocking doors for any industry, you run into some interesting people, you know, weird stuff happens all the time. But when you magnify that, you know, to the level that we are, because when you're selling solar alarms, not every home, you know, necessarily qualifies. But we can knock apartments, we can knock, because all voters count, right? All voters are important for us to interact with. And so we talk to voters, apartments, we talk to people at jazz games, we go door to door for 90% of what we do. But yeah, it's, you know, little things like beanies and light up pens, and, you know, we really encourage our people to smile, and, you know, more so, like when I sold alarms, you knock on the door and you kind of stand to the side and, you know, kind of act like you didn't know what you were doing there. But this, you know, is a little bit more engaging.
So let's speak to that a little bit. So you went from alarms to solar, where most people are like, oh, I want to make more per deal.
Yeah.
And like, I'm good moving up in that space.
Yeah.
And then you go backwards to be making a couple bucks
Yeah.
per deal. And you're like,
No, I pay an override. You know, a lot of us had overrides for alarm deals that were, you know, hundreds of dollars. And, you know, my overrides to a lot of our team leaders is 50 cents or even 25 cents. But when you consider that every person you talk to is, you know, a voter who can participate in signing, you know, a petition, you know, if I talk to 100 people about alarms, you know, maybe, you know, 10 of them are going to be interested. If I talk to 100 people about signatures, probably 97 of them are going to be interested in one or all of the initiatives that I'm signing, right?
and it's all about just breaking preoccupation.
Yeah,
like, quick.
exactly.
It's just a quick, hey, 2 seconds, like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's that. You
Yeah.
only got 2 minutes.
Yeah, you got 2 minutes, and like, hey, would your wife want to help us out? You think she could sign these as well? Oh yeah, let me go grab her. And so you can make multiple sales, you know, whatever you want to call them, in one home. You know, we had a competition running in December, and tons of family parties right for Christmas. And we gave away, I can't remember what it was, $100 to whoever got the most signatures in one house, and it was like 37 signatures, 40 signatures.
Oh, they just went to a big
Big family party, you know, and
closing
there were a whole
every
bunch of people
single
that were
person.
registered to vote there, and so you know, we've had guys that, you know, in a matter of minutes they've made a ton of money just because there was 10 people at the house, you know.
So comparable to pest control, alarms, whatever, can a guy make good money doing signatures?
Yeah, I mean, it is really important how fast you walk and how fast you talk with signatures.
It's a numbers game, probably.
It's a numbers game, but some of our best people are top alarm reps, you know, in the summer.
So people left alarms to come do
or
this.
not even necessarily left. They still work for alarms, but they
Needed something to do.
I mean, what are you gonna go knock doors in the winter for alarms in Utah? Probably not. But you know, it's fun to participate in a few elections, and you know, those guys make $300 to $500 a day.
That's awesome.
Which is similar to alarm money, you know.
But it's like there's probably no bagels.
No,
It's like I at least got one
Yeah.
signature
Yeah.
today.
No, I mean, if someone bagels, they're still making $20 an hour, you know, helping us out getting signatures.
Really?
Our average guy probably makes $40 plus an hour. Our average experienced door-to-door guy makes a lot more than that.
Which is cool, because like I think what's unique about this is, you know, you were saying you have 900 reps, but you know, some of them are part-time, some of them are in high school, some of them are old people, some of them are moms, right?
Yeah.
Some of them, you've been able to build a network that's just, it's a unique, different network because you can provide a service that, one, people can get behind. You know what I mean? Like the cause, right?
Yes.
Well, who doesn't want their teachers to make more? So it's like, hey, come work for us and help like get that on the ballot,
Yeah.
right? I'm assuming that's one of the pitches for recruiting.
For sure. Yep.
2 would be, I'm assuming, I'm just assuming, but like, hey, who can't get somebody to sign something? Like,
Yeah.
the close isn't like, pull out your credit card.
Well, and we've all recruited people who were dang hard workers, right? And they weren't good at selling something. Those people thrive in an industry like ours where it's work ethic. I mean, talking to people definitely is important, but it's not a hard close like an alarm or a solar close. Basically, it's hey, we're doing this election, and if you don't want to sign, it's not a big deal. These are what these things are about, but most people want to participate in what happens in their state, and so people are more passionate about this than they are buying a product or a service. And so we can take reps. We have a lot of reps that have come to us and said, hey, would I be good at selling alarms, or would I be good at selling solar? I've never knocked doors, but I've been having really fun, getting signatures, and I actually really enjoy it. And so we've helped place reps in other industries, or we have teams of reps that they're all planning on leaving in 4 weeks to go sell in some other state for alarms or to do solar, but they love doing these projects, and they still make really good money. It's not like they're making pennies or anything.
They're not making a $50 a day.
Yeah, they're not making $50 a day. They're making $40 to $50 an hour.
Yeah.
And so it is really good for first year reps that may be a little bit timid to start out with a sale, like asking someone to sign a petition. It just teaches them how to talk to people and how to stand at the door and how to be efficient with their time. Because
what a cool training ground. You know what I mean? And I think what's unique is you take like pest control for an example, and they don't do preseason much because we're going to sell bugs unless you
sell bugs in the winter, right?
So it's like you take those pest control guys and say, hey, I'm going to go gather for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And you're going to see what the doors are like.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get your nose beat up, right? You're going to get your confidence booster, right? Because a lot of times it's confidence. It's like once we get those first transactions, like a lot of people ask, like, Sam, how'd you do so well right at the beginning? Because I sold 5 my first day alarms.
Wow.
And everybody's like, what?
What the heck?
But I'd sold curbs for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, it was normal to do 10, 20 in a day.
Yeah.
And I was, high transactional volume, but it helped build my confidence to where when I went and sold a more expensive product, it was kind of like, well, duh, I'm going to sell. Like I sell, it's just like, what's the difference?
And you understood, your time was when you were spray painting addresses on curbs, your time and how long you spend at each door is important.
Yep.
Because it's a $20 sale in the last 2 minutes, right? And so the same thing with this is it's a 2-minute interaction with the voters, and it teaches you how to walk quickly. The best alarm guys, the best solar guys, they're almost jogging door to door. It's not because they're just so good at talking to people. They're great at talking to people, but they're also really efficient with their time. And this is time is so important to all of us. And when you're working, if you can maximize it, you make a lot more money.
So here's an important principle or a question that I have, because I think most people that are watching this or listening are always wondering, how do I keep my guys knocking longer hours? How do I motivate them to work and work hard? Like, how do you instill the work ethic? Like, do you guys have any good principles? I know we talked about like with the hat and knocking late, but what I mean by this is like, how do you track your guys, making sure they're working the hours, making sure that they're motivated to work those hours? What are some good practices that you do?
One of the best things, and this works across all industries, is car groups is part of it. If you go out with a team of guys, you don't want to be the only one getting in the car at the end of the night with less than 150 signatures.
Okay.
Or you don't want to be the only guy that didn't sell an alarm, when you get picked up at the end of the night. And so that team and that basically peer accountability, it's like if you and I are on the same team and you go out and make some deals, if I don't go out and make those deals, then I'm going to feel pressure because you did it, but if we don't know each other, then I'm not going to feel that. And so my brother's done a great job at basically making this fun. Sometimes I take things too seriously, and one of our I guess best practices is creating a community. Our Facebook group posts funny stuff that happens every night. My brother got bit by a dog last night, and then a whole bunch of other people were like, oh, I got bit by a dog, or this guy pulled a gun on me, when I was knocking on his door.
Yeah.
So it's that peer accountability that's super important in any office, is that I respect you and my team enough to make sure that I do what I said I was going to do. And I think that's an incredibly important part of our Gather vibe. And that's why we've had a good time recruiting internally, because we all respect and appreciate what, our buddy's doing, even if he's working in a different office somewhere else. And so I would say that's the number one most important thing for keeping and pushing reps to work longer, is if they know that someone is expecting them to do something, they will do better. But if no one's expecting anything of them, then why do they care if they only work for 30 minutes or an hour,
Yeah, so, which happens a lot in our industry, more often than you think.
Yeah.
So the last question I have before we kind of wrap up, and like I said, if you're watching this and you guys know Tanner, you like what he's doing, like this or share this podcast, because I think a lot of people could really benefit from. It's just a totally different perspective, which I think is super unique. I think it's interesting to see different industries kind of evolve and be like, well, who would have thought to start a door-to-door, political company, right? Or I just talked to a guy doing, the HVAC systems. There's so many different things kind of emerging. I think it's cool that guys get creative and create something from nothing. So I want to acknowledge you like that. That's cool to see the entrepreneurial bug kind of come to fruition.
Oh, it's been fun.
And then the last question that kind of came to me as we've been talking was, what's your best practices for recruiting? I mean, a lot of people in this space are trying to recruit right now. It's like last minute summer push and to get guys out there or whatever. I'm sure a lot of people want to know, okay, how'd you in 2 years get 900 people, and what have been some of your best practices?
I think, we were kind of surprised with how many people we could get to be interested in doing this. And so one is, because it's political, there's a lot of people that just have a moral, feeling or obligation that they feel to help out with causes like this. So I think that definitely helps with our industry. And then, we have always recruited from within our networks. I mean, I'll call people that I sold alarms with, 5 or 6 years ago, and I haven't talked to them in a while. And I'll say, hey, what are you doing? Some of them are still in the industry, some of them aren't, but they miss knocking doors occasionally. And we haven't written anyone off. There's a lot of people that used to, work with us that didn't have a good experience selling, summer sales type stuff with alarms and solar. And we've approached them with a new angle and a new idea and a new take on door to door. And people that, like you said earlier, we have 70-year-old guys, or we have stay-at-home moms who kill it. They make a ton of money and they have a great experience. And we're recruiting reps that probably don't fit the stereotype of, our average, 20 to 30-year-old guy, who, is pretty, confident and willing to talk to people. We have people from all different, walks of life, and a lot of them have, didn't fit the stereotype, and we were kind of apprehensive to hire them, but they've been our best people. We have stay-at-home moms who outperform, 6-year alarm salesmen who used to sell for, some alarm company. And so my advice to other industries would be to be more open about who they, recruit. Yeah, exactly. Because we have a lot of the people that fit the normal summer sales stereotype, but we have a lot of people who, you would be like, that old guy really does that well. And, we have some guys that just absolutely have work ethic and drive, and they act like they're 30 years old. Inside they may look old, but these guys have drive and intelligence and wisdom that, a 20-year-old kid doesn't have. And so,
and I think I'm about to launch another podcast. I did another one. Nobody's heard it yet, but we talked about take away all stereotypes, because, some people say, I don't recruit girls. It's like, well, I've had some of the best girl reps, or I don't recruit older people. Yeah. Well, some of the best guys I know are actually in their 50s. And I think that's the problem, is we think that there's one size fits all, and I think that's an important thing, that we just don't dequalify people before even giving them the opportunity.
Exactly. I mean, we should never, judge people by the appearances that the industry has, because they don't really mean anything. And I've been really blown away. 18 or 19-year-old girls that we have that work with us, far outperform someone who's sold, anything and everything for the last 5 years, because they have work ethic. They have a drive that they may not close as many per hour, but they work twice the hours. And, people are like, wow. I mean, it's just impressive to see different styles and different talents that people have. And And so, we have talents of talking to people. Some of us have talents in never quitting. And so we have a lot of those reps that are just, they never give up. They work long hours, and, even if they have a rough hour, they don't get down on themselves, because they get that it's just a numbers game. And if they keep at it, then it will all work out. So
that's cool. No, so to kind of sum all that up, in my opinion, what I heard was work ethic trumps a lot of things. Don't stereotype. Just open your mouth. It sounds like most of your best people have come from networking.
Yeah.
And I think people underestimate. I was actually on a call with a guy. I coach a lot of different CEOs and stuff like that. And this roofing guy that I was talking to on the way up here, he was like, he has 3 reps, right? And I'm like, why do you only have 3 reps? This is sad. And and he was like, well, we were starting to do these Indeed postings and this and that. And I reflected back to when I was doing alarms, and I was like, I had 80 reps, and I never could post an ad. They would get mad if I posted an ad. And I'm like, wait, what? I recruited just through networking that many guys, and it's like, man, if people underestimate the power of actually, so who do you know? Do you have any friends that also like this? Look at the culture that we've created. Don't you want to be part of this?
Yeah.
Could you get behind this? And it sounds like you've really leveraged that to a T.
Yeah, well, that's been, 80-90% of all of our reps have come through just people we've interacted with in the past, or encouraging our reps to go out and get their buddies to help us out as well.
Cool.
So,
Well, I appreciate your time. This has been super interesting.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I hope for those that listened, obviously got some good nuggets from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be seeing more at Gather. It seems like it's growing really fast. So.
No, it's been fun, and so we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, sounds good.